Hi guys, thank you for joining Gina's grooming channel. Thank you for joining us on another episode of our Apprentice series where I take you through a grooming procedure and you can kind of watch over my shoulder and see how it's done. Today's session is going to be pretty unique and pretty intense because we are going to be working on Ziggy, who is a Puli, right? It's a Hungarian breed that is corded. So I'm going to go ahead and put him in the tub and we're going to go through his groom. I want you guys to know, oh boy, that this is about a 3.5 hour service. Okay, you okay, bud? This is a lot of work, a lot of manual labor to get these cords maintained, but a very interesting and satisfying service at the same time. So let's go ahead and get Ziggy groomed. Now, a few notes about cords. We have to wash each one of these cords. In particular, we have to make sure that any debris is pulled out of these cords. And there are many, many layers of these very feather-light cords on Ziggy. So we're going to go through, soak them up. The shampoo that I'm using is the EnviroGroom Deep Clean Shampoo. I really wanted a very deep cleaning shampoo because it's been a few months since I've seen Ziggy. I really want to make sure that it gets to the root of all those cords and gets them really nice and fresh and clean. All right, guys, so step one, I'm going to go ahead and soak them down with warm water. I'm not going to try to disturb these cords, but during the washing process, I will be doing some separation. That's going to be the majority of the work. And as we dry, we're going to be separating and twisting those cords to encourage them to cord up. All right, Ziggy, you ready for your bath? I'm going to put up my ponytail and take yours down. Okay, good boy. Hi, baby. How are you? How are you? Now, I also want to warn you guys, Ziggy likes to kind of sing while he's getting a bath. He likes to bark. Sometimes if it becomes a little too much for me, I have noise canceling headphones that I put on just so that he's not barking right in my ear. But he's just a little bit of a singer, and he's a little older too. So we have to go slow and easy, but make sure that he gets really nicely cleaned up. So you have to like reach in and soak all the way down to the skin. Now guys, I shave out Ziggy's belly all the way up to his armpits with a number 10 later, so he doesn't have cords hanging from his belly area or the deep chest area. It's really just kind of encased in cords all around, kind of like a cord facade, if you will. It's still a lot of cords. You gotta be really thorough about getting in there. You guys know I'm shampooing each of these cords. I do in groups. I lift, and then I go to the next group of cords going all the way to the root. See that singing? So I'm gonna go ahead and put on some headphones to get through this groom. As soon as I put on the headphones, he stops barking. Figure that. Guys, I'm going to go through about 3 or 4 of these shampoo bottles. It's diluted, but just be prepared. You're going to go through a lot of shampoo. You're also going to be going through a lot of towels in this process. So time consuming, a lot of shampoo, a lot of product, and a lot of towels. All right, guys, now that I've done a general soaping up of his cords, I'm going to go focus on his head and face, and then I'm going to go through each single one of those cords, making sure that it's shampooed all the way to the root. Okay, face and head soaked up. I'm going to rinse that so that no soap runs into his eyes while I'm working on the cords and going through really, really thoroughly, making sure that each single cord is really, really clean. Okay, Boopers, ready? Good boy. Hi, girl. Good boy. Okay. Shampoo up again. This is the 4th shampoo. To be expected. Part of the deal. Okay, bud. Can you get in a little bit? Thank you. Okay. So here I have my mixed shampoo, and I'm going to be going through every single cord and making sure. This is also where I do a little bit of separation. I'm going to be doing that while I'm drying. And when I'm talking about separation is we're separating the cords so that at the root, they are not connected to any other cord. It's very important so that it doesn't pull on our corded breeds. And anytime I'm kind of breaking apart those cords, I'm going to shampoo it up. Again, making sure all the way to the root is soaked up and is going to be clean. I kind of use the cords and I flip them away so I can kind of get deeper into the cord structure. When they're soapy, they're a little easier to maintain that way. So guys, this process is going to take me about half an hour. I will meet you guys back here when I'm ready to rinse off all these cords. Well, okay guys, we have got his cords all soaped up. Made sure that every time we went through a section, we lifted up those cords, made sure that all of the cords were washed all the way to the root. And I know I keep repeating that, but let me tell you that cords, they kind of can hide. So you think you wet down the entire dog and you see everything that you're doing, and then you'll lift up a section and it's completely dry underneath, untouched by water, untouched by soap. So you got to be really, really extra thorough with a corded breed because of that. So now I'm going to go through and rinse him off. We have to also be very thorough about that. I'm going to do that in sections as well, just like I did when I was shampooing him up. And then we're going to check every single one of those cords, make sure there's no shampoo left in there. Because I'm kind of going through and wringing in groups of cords. Same thing like when I did with shampoo, when I started with groups. And then I went and focused on individuals. But I just want to get the majority of the shampoo off and then go and do my detail checking. All right, guys, I did the first round of rinsing. Now I'm going to go into my detail rinsing, really making sure to lift up each cord individually and go to that root. So phase 1 that I did with the rinsing was just a once over, and then I'm going to go through and check each and every single cord. Lifting section by section. See, it's soapy, so I'm going to go through and rinse again. That's okay, you're going to find soapy spots. It's a lot to rinse off. Now this wringing out phase not only serves as a great shampoo check, make sure that everything is wringing out clean, it's also obviously setting us up for our dry, because all those cords are carrying a lot of water, and the longest part of this process is the drying process. Now, I split cords as I'm drying, and what I'm going to show you first is I'm going to towel dry. Kind of imagine as if you have hundreds of little sponges, how you would dry those off. And while I'm towel drying, I'm going to turn on my stand dryer just to give more air, some warm air, to speed up this process. Okay, turning on stand dryer, going to start getting the towels. I usually use about 7 towels to get Ziggy dry. It's all a matter of grabbing those cords, right? And then just kind of scrunching them into the towel, making sure to soak up all that water as much as possible. And of course, I've got my stand dryer just drying warm air, blowing warm air on Ziggy. Good boy, Ziggs. You're good, baby. So after I have successfully gone through and removed as much water as I can in that tub, I'm going to put Ziggy on the table and keep drying him. Okay, so we are going to stand dry him while scrunching with fresh towels. And I'm also going to put up his hair so that it's comfortable for him in a little rubber band. But this is going to be a process that takes about an hour in addition. And I'm going to show you guys while I'm drying him that I'm going to be separating his cords. Guys, if I run into a part that still looks a little bit like the soap didn't really get through the root, which I haven't found yet, so that means I did a good job bathing him, but I do keep some waterless shampoo. I use the Groom waterless bath, and if I do find a spot that I need to really clean up a little more, or that has just a little dust in there or something that I missed in the bath, I can spray in that area, okay, and then clean it up with our waterless bath. All right, I'm going to keep that stand dryer going, and I'm going to keep moving it around his body as I'm separating. I also want to show you that I am going to use a hose dryer, but very, very carefully. I don't want to use anything high velocity around where those roots are, because we don't want those cords to get tangled up and create actual matting. It's a whole different thing. So I'm going to show you how I use a hose dryer. I don't use a high velocity nozzle, a reducing nozzle. But I'm going to go turn on my stand dryer still, so that's going to be going, and then I'm going to show you how I use this just to go to the ends of the cords and help dry him a little faster. Good boy, Ziggy. For the very end, because all that moisture goes down to the very bottom of the cords, and that's where it kind of starts dripping and getting really wet. So I'm going to use my hose dryer to carefully help us get through the process. Good boy, Ziggy Zig. How you doing, bud? Good boy. He's a sweet boy. I want to make sure my stand dryer isn't staying in one place too long. I want to keep moving it so it goes section by section. While I help it along with the hose. Guys, I can see that my bottom towel is soaked through, so I'm going to change that to also help get that moisture, speed up the process. So I am going to be replacing this towel with a freshie. Good boy. You stand up for me, babes? Good boy. Boop. Okay. And boop. Okay, good boy. His tail is so heavy, soaked to the very core of his thing. Okay, babes, 1 foot. Good boy. Next foot. Good boy. All right. Foot. Foot. Okay. Now let's get back to it. I'm also going to use a towel to help. How you doing, Zig? Okay, he is about 80% dry. I'm going to keep working on him with the stand dryer, and I'm going to go through the separation phase because this is what we have to do for his entire body is go through and make sure that all of those cords are separated at the root. One of the questions that one of our viewers had was, can a pulley get matted? And absolutely they do. I'm going to show you that this is what I cut out from the back of his front right leg, and I feel as I'm checking his left leg, he's got the same thing. I haven't seen him in a few months, so they can develop mats if those cords aren't separated at the root. I'm going to clipper that out because fortunately it's in a place that isn't really seen or visible, and I do scoop him all the way up to his armpits with a 10 after I'm all done drying him, so I'll show you guys that. But if there are mattings in places that I can clipper out, I will. Just because at this point they're now to the skin. In a place where I can clipper out a mat, I will go ahead and do so. And guys, just a little note, expect to find a lot of vegetation and debris in the coat, even after washing. Within the cords, you'll see little branches and things that he's picked up along the way. He's really good this time. Usually he has a lot more. But just make sure you kind of have a little trash can handy because you're going to be picking out a lot of stuff out of these cords. Well, all right, guys, we are nearly 3 hours into the process. Ziggy is doing great. He is nearly dry, but I'm going to keep that dryer going just to make sure that we get all those little bits that are still a little damp. It's a lot of work. What I'm going to do is I'm going to finish his face. What I did, I've already done his sanitary like normal. I also scooped him all the way through up to his armpits with a 10. So basically he's a shell with all of these dreadlocks or cords falling around that shell. What I'm going to do is take his face down, but not super short, not like a poodle. We want to keep it manageable. I usually do a 2 or a 4 guide comb over a 30 on that. So I'll show you how I do that. And then we're going to finish up by finishing up those cords, and I'll show you how I cut around his cords. Make sure I kind of lift up all those cords so that they don't drag on the floor. All right, Zigs. All right, guys, we are ready to work on the skirt. Now about his skirting. So stand up, Zigs. Pulis have an undetermined coat length, so they don't stop growing. They keep growing and growing and growing. So you have to cut their coat, just like a poodle or other breeds that have an undetermined coat length. So with Ziggy's cords, even though these guys are really light, they still can get pretty dense. I cannot use my grooming shears to get through those cords. I actually have a pair of industrial shears that I bought specifically for this, so that I can cut through those cords and not ruin my fine equipment. I'm going to keep this towel on so that you can see what I'm doing because my table's black. So it'll be black on black. You can't really see that. So you're going to see all of these cuts that I'm going to be making off the towel. And what I'm just going to do is get around the bottom here. Okay. We want to make sure that he's not dragging on anything. As you can see, he still picks up vegetation. And there's always things. Good boy, Ziggs. Zig is a sitter. He likes to sit. So working on his back stuff is a little of a challenge. Luckily, he's a good boy, and he'll listen to me eventually, but These are very powerful scissors, so just be careful when you're anywhere near the dog. I really don't like to use them anywhere close, just really on the perimeter. Good boy, Ziggs. Thanks for standing, bud. I have my other arm basically underneath him with a really soft hold support, kind of just to remind him to stay standing because he does like to sit. He's an older gentleman. He's allowed to sit, but for certain things, I need him to stand. Okay, now I'll work on your front. You okay, Bubba? I can do some of the cutting while he's sitting down. I really can't see his form very well when that's happening. So I do want to kind of keep encouraging him to stand. Okay. Okay. I get it. Okay, take some of these ends off so it looks a little cleaner too. Okay, bud. Okay. Now, again, be very careful when cutting around paws. I have to use these guys, but I'm using my fingers basically in front of where his paw is. So if the scissors are going to get anything, they're going to get me, not his paw. Okay. Good boy. Good boy. I'm going to even this out when he stands up for me again. At least this way I can get all the dead ends off. And let him relax while he's having his spa day. Cutting around the other paw, again with my finger in between his toes and my scissors. Good boy. Okay, can you stand up for me another second, Bubba? Okay, good boy. Good boy. Do what I can while he's standing. Good boy, good boy. Supporting him gently. But I can already feel he's kind of done with my standing here. Good boy, stay up. All right, shortening up the skirt. Making sure that nothing is going to be dragging on the floor. But he does go all the way down to the floor. I'm just going to lift him up a few little millimeters above. Well, okay, guys, we are pretty much done. He's still a little damp in places. That is just the nature of this coat. It's 3.5 hours later. There's only so much you can do in a certain time span. But I am going to be running the dryer on him until his mommy gets here to make sure that we use all the time that we have to get him as dry as possible. But he is about 95% dry. I only feel a little bit of spots on his bottom of his cords. So no big deal. Guys, I hope this gives you a little more insight into working with corded dogs. If you guys are aspiring groomers, do not be afraid to work with corded dogs. Yes, it does take a lot of work. You have to communicate with the client really well as you're learning how to work with them, but it is incredibly rewarding, and it's wonderful when you get to work with such sweet dogs with such a unique and beautiful look. Guys, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for clicking that thumbs up if you like this video. Thanks for joining on another Apprentice series on our channel. Thanks for subscribing, and thank you for your time. Say bye, Ziggy. Bye, guys.